Hi everybody, welcome back to the shop. Today's subject is boat trailer wiring. So I go through a lot of boats. I build some boats and I buy some boats and then I sell them. Decide that they're not just what I need right now or not what I want. I want to try something different. Actually, probably on average go through one or two a year. It's a little bit of an addiction. So along with boats come boat trailers. And so you get these boat trailers and you want to just try to make sure that you don't have any problems with them. And so in the past, one thing I've always done is change out the bearings immediately. As soon as I get a trailer, I'll put new bearings in it. No matter how they look, I just replace them. It's a cheap thing and you get to look at everything else as well. And then just keep them greased. And then I've never had any bearing problems, knock on wood. But trailer wiring has just plagued me. Just plagued me, and I just I fix a connector here and I replace a light there, or maybe I put a new set on. But I started thinking to myself, what can I do to just eliminate that problem, permanently? I just don't want to screw with it. I just want to hook up my trailer and go. And inevitably, usually right before a big trip that I'm already starting late on, I have to do some trailer wiring repairs, and it's just so annoying. So I put my mind to it and I started looking at all the different options, and I came up with a system that I think is really good. I think that it is a permanent fix, or as permanent as anything like that can be. Obviously you're going to need to keep an eye on it. And the two things that I realized was, first of all, it's going to cost a lot more, and the second thing is it's going to take a lot more time. And that's okay. It'll save me money and time down the road. And so here we go. Okay, so here we are at the trailer. I got a really good deal on this boat, and it came with this really cool, fairly new aluminum trailer. But the wiring had some splices in it. I had a couple problems, and the lights were not, all the diodes were not lighting up. So I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to start over completely fresh. So got a new set of LED lights. I bought some better ones, and then new wiring. So I want to point out a couple things on the wiring before I go any further. So this is the right hand side wiring. I've pre-threaded this through the tongue and all the way down the trailer. I haven't secured it to the trailer yet. I'll do that when I'm all done. But there's no splices in this all the way up to and including the connector. And I would buy whatever it took wiring-wise to make that happen. Also note that these are not really thin wires. I specifically bought the 18 gauge. I didn't want, some of them come with 20 or even 22 gauge. And not that you need it for current carrying capability with the LEDs. They're low current lights. But it's just a lot stronger. And should there be any trauma encountered by this wiring, I want it to hold up. And then the other thing I want to point out, this second wire is going to go back towards the front of the trailer to the side light. And the reason for that, usually you would use connectors like this to do the side lights. And you would just cut into your taillight strand with this connector. It has a piercing bayonet, I guess you might call it, that goes down through the wiring. But the problem is that gives you another failure point because you've cut through the insulation and exposed the copper wiring. And then I've had several of those fail because you have now a corrosion point. So I'm eliminating that completely. There'll be just one connection on this whole setup. It will be back here at the trailer light in the back of the trailer, and if anything goes wrong, then I can come straight back here. So to make this a little easier, I'm going to get these wires out of the way. I'm going to twist these together. Put my crimp connector on here. Now you could use you could solder these, but I've read several boat experts say that these soldered connections are actually more prone to failure because they corrode more and they don't allow the wire to flex, and so they break right at the solder point. And I've actually had that happen myself. So I'm going to stick with crimp connectors. I'm going to slide a piece of large heat shrink. It has to be large enough to go over the connector. slide that down my wire. Load that right on up in there. Notice I've got a good crimping tool here. I find that to be a good investment. I've had a couple of the cheap kind, and since I make a lot of connections, this was a good investment. Alright, so there's that. Now, this connector is itself heat shrink. So, I'm going to apply a flame to that. Probably better to use hot air if you have something, but I don't. Get that shrunk down on there. I figure everything helps. Get that shrunk down good. Okay. Looks like this could maybe shrink just a little more. Alright. I'm going to take this heat shrink and put it right over the top of that. Alright, and then the final step here, I think that's mostly about strength right there. That connection has got a lot of strength now. But I want to waterproof it. So I'm going to use liquid electrical tape. I'm going to spread those wires out. I'm going to get that down right inside that connection. Come down from the other side. Just make sure that whole thing is just really well coated where it goes into the heat shrink tubing. I'm going to give the whole thing a good coating here. Alright, and there you have it. So somebody's probably going to say, Goro, that's overkill. You probably don't need to do that. And I'm actually going to come back and do a second coat even here in a little bit, once this dries. Yeah, it probably is overkill. And you know, I'm good with that. Because my purpose here is to make this thing permanent. I don't want it to be failing on me pretty much ever. And one more little thing. I can tell you that grounding is actually the most common cause of problems with trailer wiring. More often than not, you've just got a ground issue. And so I just put a lot of work into my grounds, or not a lot of work, but just I pay attention to them. So this is my new ground up by the, this is by the trailer ball. It's got some dissimilar metals there, but it's not going to be in the water, so I'm not too worried about that. You can see that it's got really good contact there. And then make sure you check the ground on your vehicle as well. Make sure that it's a good ground. If it's not good, then it doesn't really matter what your trailer has. And then back by the tail light on the trailer, you can see that I cleaned this metal off here so that we get a really good ground connection. Alright, so here's a little bonus feature. This is not my idea, the trailer came this way, but what a great way to secure these wires to the trailer frame. Usually there's a little metal clip that goes over here, and I find that those come off all the time. So what these guys did, and I'm just going to copy it, they've drilled just the right size hole here, pushed the zip tie all the way up through it, put the wire inside the zip tie and then push it right back down the same hole. Pull it down a little bit snug, pull it through there. Bam, done. I like it a lot. It's up inside the frame, completely protected. I don't know how long it's been since they had done that, but everyone but one was intact. So I hope that was useful to somebody. If it was, or if you have any other suggestions or maybe some criticism, as long as we keep it all, nice. Please leave some comments. You can subscribe if you want to, but I don't do very many videos, so I'm not one of those people. I don't make any money or anything like that. But anyway, and if you have any other thoughts on videos that would be worthwhile making, let me know.